First of all, Scott, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I wanted to give you a platform to tell us about your work and about your fascinating life. First of all, why don't you fill in the gaps about yourself? Tell us where you grew up, how long you've been in the fitness business, and how you got to Kelowna.
Well, first off, Luke, I'd like to thank you. This is my first official podcast, so I'm excited. I was born and raised in Richmond Hill, which is just north of Toronto. I've been in the health and fitness industry for over 10 years. 3 years ago, I moved to Toronto and was living downtown with my partner, Katie. We were living in Toronto, and we just found that we weren't living the lives that we wanted to live. So in January, we packed up our car, and we drove across the country. We didn't know anyone in Kelowna. We didn't have jobs. We didn't have a permanent place to stay. We just packed up the car and came here.
Right.
So that's how we ended up here in Kelowna.
Why Kelowna? Did you just look at a map and throw a dart at a map blindfolded, or why did you choose Kelowna?
No real reason, to be honest. I had been to Kelowna when I was very young, and for whatever reason, it just sort of stuck with me throughout my life as being this beautiful place in the mountains that had great weather. But at the same time, I didn't have a distinct memory. I just knew it was a great place. And so when we decided to move out of Toronto, Kelowna is where we decided to come.
Tell me, how long have you been with Katie, and how long have you been in Kelowna? When was that big drive across the country?
So I've been with Katie for just over 4 years, and we drove here in January. So all our family and friends were preparing us for the worst. They were worried our car would break down in Saskatchewan. We would be stranded on the side of the road with no blankets, and we would freeze. But luckily that didn't happen. We actually had great weather, and we got here with no issues. We're super happy to be here. No regrets.
That's great. So you've only been here about 6-7 months so far, and how you liking it so far in Kelowna? Is it everything you thought it would be? A little different?
It's pretty much everything we thought it would be. I knew it had great weather, and that's proven to be the case. It's much better than Ontario weather, I can tell you that. It's great having the outdoors in our backyard. We can easily go for a hike or walk to the lake, and it's just a lot easier to enjoy the outdoors, whereas in the big city, it's not as accessible.
That's so true. I grew up in Toronto as well, West End, so Mississauga, Etobicoke, but I know where Richmond Hill is. I mean, I think everybody from Toronto knows all the neighborhoods, even though I never spent much time in Richmond Hill. But, it's really cool. So you work for a company called Optimize. Is that your company? And how long have you been with that? And how did you get started with that?
Yeah, so Optimize is my business. I just started it when I came here. Currently, I'm in the planning stages of opening my own facility in downtown Kelowna. So the vision is to create a space where I integrate exercise with therapy. Currently, there are no options out there for someone looking to get in better shape that's affordable. The options out there are to hire a personal trainer, which is expensive and as a result not sustainable, or to sign up for a commercial gym. And what commonly happens is people don't often know what to do when they get there and how to perform exercises safely. And then there's a new option in the market. It's the group fitness option. So that's a great option, but what is lacking with that option is individualized programming. So when you show up to one of those classes, you do the same thing that everyone else is doing. And your personal injuries or movement capabilities are not taken into account. So what I'm trying to do with Optimize is provide the benefit of personal training at an affordable cost.
We had a coffee a few weeks ago, and you were talking about how you had this concept of combining physiotherapy with a fitness routine. And I think you said something like, right now it's kind of two separate fields. So if someone has an injury, they go to physiotherapy, but the gym is like a separate thing. So why do you think that's useful if the two are combined in the same location?
Well, I think there's a couple benefits. Let's say you go and you get a treatment for a certain injury. Oftentimes, the therapist will give you some exercises to do at home on your own. But what I've found in my experience is that oftentimes people don't do those exercises. Right. Or they don't do them correctly. Right. So by integrating the fitness side of things, it provides a space and an environment where people can come and make sure that they're doing the exercises not only consistently, but safely and correctly. Big benefit for sure. I think another benefit is having your trainer communicate with your therapist. Like you said, right now you go to your gym and you go to your physiotherapy or massage therapy office separately. They're two separate entities. So by combining both the therapy with the fitness, you can now have your therapist and your trainer communicate to ensure that you're doing what you should be doing and not doing what you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. I remember I used to go to the gym as older teenager, young adult, and I thought I was having a great time. And then I decided to get a couple of training sessions, and the coach is like, "You're doing it all wrong." And he was a little bit rude, but I've had coaches that are really great. And, usually it's just like a slight adjustment, but it makes a huge difference to, your improvement, depending on if you're trying to get strength or muscle mass or whatever, just like tiny tweaks. Kind of reminds me of something I heard Tony Robbins say one time. He wanted to become a golfer, not a professional, but he wanted to become a decent, golfer. And he kept slicing the ball, and he was like, "I'm so useless. Like, I'm never going to be able to hit the ball straight." And he got a coach, and the coach said, "Relax." And the adjustment you need to make is about 2 or 3 millimeters. That's it. 2 or 3 millimeters is making that ball slice dramatically. Yeah. And he helped them make the adjustment. Now he hits the ball straight, right? So yeah. I think physical training is kind of like that. Like sometimes the adjustments we need to make are not major, but we need someone with a separate set of eyes, someone who knows what they're doing to tell us, "Hey, you need to, adjust this because you're going to injure yourself and you're not getting the maximum benefit."
No, I completely agree. And I think in addition to that, having someone guide you in terms of not only what you should be doing, but what you shouldn't be doing. Because it's very common that people are doing exercises that aren't necessarily appropriate for an injury or for a limitation that they might have, and results in further injury.
So is your background in fitness or physiotherapy or both?
So I have a background in both fitness and what's called athletic therapy. So my educational background started when I went to Western University in London, Ontario. I did a bachelor's degree in kinesiology. Following that degree, I knew I wanted to stay in the health and fitness field, so I decided to do a degree in athletic therapy. So I spent 3 years learning about athletic injuries, working with athletes, which was great, and resulted in me getting a job with the Canadian national cricket team, which was a super great experience. I got to work with national level athletes. I got to travel around the world with the team. It eventually led me to an opportunity to work at a World Cup, which was amazing. That was in Bangladesh, which was a great great experience. And people are surprised when I tell them that because not everyone's aware that we have a national cricket team, but we do. So that was great. And meanwhile, while I was traveling with the team, I was doing my master's degree in exercise science. So I do have a background both in the fitness and the therapy side of things. And I'm also a registered massage therapist. So yeah, I do both.
That's awesome. So you've got a lot of skills that and training that has to do with the human body. And I can kind of see the concept where you're combining a few different fields of studies, but it all has to do with the human body and optimizing. And I guess that's how you came up with the name, Optimize. Optimizing your balance and your strength and your overall fitness. I think I've got a rotator cuff issue. I went to see my general practitioner, and she said, yeah, probably. And it's been a couple of months, and she said at my age, that's kind of normal for a couple of months. It's still a little bit sore. For a few weeks, I could barely even put a shirt on. Yeah. It was terrible. And she's like, if it's still hurting you a few weeks from now, I'm going to send you to see Scott. No, she didn't say that, but she said, I'm going to send you to see a physiotherapist. But I've also got fitness goals. So I think your place is going to be perfect for someone like me. Have you found a location yet? Do you have a timeline?
I am looking currently at a location. I've not finalized it, so I'm not going to tell you where it is at the moment until it's finalized. But I am looking at a really great location that I think will be very accessible to a lot of people. Great. In terms of a timeline, I'm looking at mid-November being open for business.
Awesome. We will certainly announce it and promote it when it happens, once you've got it finalized. Is it downtown? Somewhere downtown. I love downtown. I lived downtown for most of my time in Kelowna. I live in Lower Mission now, but still fairly close to downtown. And I love it because there are so many great places you can walk to. Yeah. Once you find that elusive parking spot, you can walk to so many great things. And I'm really looking forward to your shop there when it opens. Besides fitness, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, to be honest, most of my free time right now is spent trying to build my business. Right. But you know what? That's fun for me. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy taking a concept that I have in my head and making it a reality. So this is fun for me. Right. But when I'm not doing that, I do like to get outside and enjoy the Okanagan. Being from Toronto, this is not something that is so easily accessible to me. Just being able to walk to the beach or hike a mountain. So yeah, definitely enjoying the outdoors.
Can you tell us how old you are?
I am 32 years old. Really? Or I should say 32 years young.
I was going to say you look like you're in your early 20s, but you have the maturity of a late 30s person. So,
I'll take it.
So have you changed at all, or are you the exact same person you were when you were a teenager? And if you've changed, I'm wondering if you would be comfortable sharing a story about how you've changed. So, like, if I were to go in a time machine and I saw you at a younger age, and I would be maybe shocked, maybe a little surprised because you've changed so much that, your way of thinking, your way of acting. Any stories you want to share from your past?
That's a tough one. I think when I was a teenager, I was not necessarily the best student. I didn't take my education very seriously at all. But when I was maybe 16, there was a shift in my mindset. I'm not quite sure what caused it, but I started to really dedicate myself and work towards certain goals. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm still that way today, which is great. I think that work ethic has led me to where I am right now. Yeah.
I had a shift like that. I think it was in my 30s by the time I finally started to take things seriously when I had my first daughter. I'm not saying I never took things seriously, but I definitely had a dramatic shift. Did you have any mentors, or you said you're not sure what caused it? if you could go in a time machine and advise your younger self, what would you tell yourself? Like, hey, wake up. It's time to start taking things seriously. Or I guess 16 is a pretty good age to start, maturing the way you did.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's super important to always do your best and always do things with purpose and intent. I think when I was younger, I didn't really know what that purpose was.
Right.
And so I wasn't focused, and I had nothing to put my energy toward. But I think once I started to realize what it is I wanted to do, or at least have an idea, then I was able to put effort towards achieving that goal.
Do you do much personal training, or is it mostly RMT work? What is your main job right now while you're waiting for the location?
Currently, I'm doing more work on the therapy side of things, which I'm super passionate about. I'm also working at the college. I'm working as a clinical supervisor at the Vancouver Career College in the massage therapy program. But I'm also super interested in the fitness side of things. So I think once I'm up and running, I think I'll take over that part of the business and then find great people to work with me on the therapy side of things.
So you've come this far. Was everything in your life smooth sailing, easy peasy, or did you have any setbacks that you had to get past?
No major setbacks that I can think of. Obviously, when you quit your job, pick everything up, and drive across the country to a city you've never been to, other than when you were very young, a city where you don't know anyone, you don't have a job or a permanent place to stay, there's definitely setbacks that come along with that. For example, finding a place to live, finding a job so that you can pay your rent, and just making connections in the community. So there's setbacks that come along with all of those, but I think I've handled the transition very well, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
So Scott, tell us a little bit more about your work with health and fitness. Like, what makes it fun for you, and what makes it challenging or frustrating? Is there a certain type of person you love to work with, or do you ever get up some days and say, why am I doing this? Or
I'd say it's always fun. I think it's great, first of all, because you get to work with people. So you get to interact and meet amazing people. You get to learn about who they are, and you get to learn their stories. So that's always an interesting part of what I do. And it's just fun to work with people and help them achieve their goals. There's a ton of satisfaction that comes along with that. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I love what I do, and why I'm trying to start a business doing exactly that. Awesome. Yeah, and in terms of frustrations, I would just say what I've previously mentioned in regards to the accessibility of quality fitness experience that people can have. There's lots of options out there, but I don't think there's a perfect option. And that's what I'm trying to create with Optimize.
Right. So if a younger person wanted to get into the same business as you now, I think your concept is very unique, combining the physiotherapy with the fitness training. But if someone wanted to get into the fitness business or the physiotherapy business, what advice would you give to someone brand new starting out?
Well, I would say figure out what it is you want to do. Figure out what steps you need to take to get there, and just start. I think a lot of times we procrastinate and we say we're going to do it tomorrow or next week, and we don't. It keeps getting pushed back and back. So, yeah, I would say in regards to any goal, my main advice would be just to start, and it'll come.
Yeah.
And if you don't start, you'll never reach the finish line. So
I agree. Procrastination is a terrible curse, and I think it affects all of us from time to time. But I think that's good advice. Just get started, Start moving. When I started in business, I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. But I found that just getting started, making phone calls, creating a plan, taking action will, get you closer to your goal, even if you don't know exactly all the steps you need to take. You got to start yourself in motion. I want to put you on the spot now. Can you name someone in Kelowna? And I know you've only been here for a few months, but someone in Kelowna who you think is a fascinating person and who you would like to see come on this show in the future.
Okay, well, as I'm sure you know, when starting a business, it's always great to have mentors to help guide you and support you. And I've been lucky enough to meet one in my short time here in Kelowna. His name is Todd Embley, and he's been super nice in taking me under his wing and guiding me and giving me advice as I start my business. So, yeah, he'd be a great one to have.
Can you tell us a little bit about Todd? Like, what does he do?
I have yet to figure that out entirely. I know he works with entrepreneurs as a mentor, and he helps them start their business and grow it.
Is there a place where someone can come to see you now for massage or any of the other services you offer? Do you have a location right now?
Yes, currently I'm working as a registered massage therapist at Gravity Float and Wellness, which is on Richter Street in the Lower Mission.
Do you have a personal website or Facebook page?
So yeah, they can visit my website, which is www.optimize.com. Now, optimize is purposely misspelt. There are 3 I's in front of the Z, right, and that was intentional. Also, they can follow me on Instagram. My handle is @optimize, again, intentionally misspelt.
Fantastic. Well, maybe the first post you can make will be a link to this show, this interview with you. Thank you very much, Scott. I feel like I've learned something today, and we all got to know you a little bit better on a personal level. So I want to wish you all the best in your career and in your time in Kelowna. We're grateful to have you in the city, and I hope to see you again real soon.
Thanks for having me.
So that will wrap it up for episode number 16 of the I Love Kelowna podcast. Coming up next, we've got Benita Summers from Spirit Kelowna and Stephen Mazer from Raymond James. And right after that, Loyal Woldridge from Loyal Hair. Loyal is running for city council, and that is a great interview. You don't want to miss it. If you like this show, please go to iTunes and subscribe, and also please leave us a 5-star review. We'll see you in a few days. Bye.